So what did you learn in there? Give us a breakdown.
Yeah, well, applesauce. Some think just apples, but you got a whole bevy of fruits at your disposal. Pears. You can throw in some other like blueberry, raspberries, some stuff like that. Also, key to good applesauce is using multiple apples or different types of apples, which I could probably include into my applesauce making game, so to speak.
Did you have an applesauce making game before?
Oh, who doesn't have an applesauce making game? But not really. But now I do. Yeah, it was good to get in there, and yeah, I mean, I think also just as a parent, I feel like making food for your kids is something that's like it's an everyday activity, and you're always trying to figure something out. And so I feel like to be able to have little tips and to be able to clean up some routine type stuff is awesome.
It's cool to see some of the parents that were out here today and their kids enjoying the event.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's awesome that curbside care and like with the Celtics of being able to, yeah, I mean, just be able to help families who need the help and be able to, and whether it's like the parents and the kids, I feel like being able to reach down to that level, I feel like family is just a very core unit of the city of Boston and of all society. So I think being able to help parents and their children is awesome, especially I mean, young parents, yeah, recently going through it. It's you're figuring it out on the fly, and so I feel like any amount of help that we can all get is you're really ready and willing to accept it. Yeah.
With the Oreo on your head, you couldn't get it to fall. Like,
Yeah.
a little breakdown there.
Shots don't fall sometimes, you know. That's, yeah, I was trying. I felt good about the forehead portion. Once I got in my eye, I think I probably needed to tilt back a little bit more to be able to work it down.
Cheekbones.
But yeah, I'll work on that, and we'll get back and we'll watch the film, and we'll be ready for the next opportunity. Yeah.
You mentioned you've done a bunch of these community events this year. You mentioned this one because you're a new father yourself. Meant a little more. What was it like to just like, learn stuff, just be a part of the community, and something that's also very relevant to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's. I think especially just in being a parent, and you realize like every single one of us here, like we were once a little infant, and it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of dedication, and I feel like to be able, especially like through the team and now in this part of my life, like to be able to help where we can, because I mean, yeah, I think no matter who you are, or like I don't know, whether you're on your first kid or your 10th kid or like wherever you're in between, I think like it's amazing how much a child can humble you, and that it takes a lot of work and a lot of love, and I feel like I'm glad to be able to be a part of I mean, not just with the Celtics, but I feel like the entire Boston community just help kind of bring up the next generation and do what we can to just provide them the basic needs and more after that. Yeah.
You guys have a lot of parents on the team. Is that kind of something you guys bond over, talk about at times, or just kind of like the common experiences you guys have had as a lot of young parents on the team?
Yeah, it definitely is. I feel like we have quite a few guys who've got young kids, and I've joked before. Some guys like it's a whole different NBA from when you didn't have like children and family to the time after, and I feel like it's a lot of responsibility, but it also helps like clarify a whole lot in your life in terms of your priorities, and I feel like that's in the case for parents no matter what, is you really know now what you're working for and what all your efforts are going towards, and to be able to love your children, take care of them is like the most rewarding work you have in your life. So it's definitely something that I feel like bonds us, and I feel like bonds anyone who's a parent to have shared that experience.
Do you ever feel like it takes pressure off on like the actual game performance? Because I've heard a lot of like parent NBA players talk about this, where it's like the most important thing is the kids. At the end of the day, they don't know how you play. Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like it definitely just brings a lot of clarity in terms of. I feel like before with basketball, there's like so many different things you care about, and now you're just like really focused on your work and your routine and knowing what there is that you have control over or not. And then, like when you kind of are done with your time at work and taking care of what you need to, you got to transition to like the most important aspect of your life and raising your family. So I think it really is helpful in terms of kind of helping know where your work begins and ends, and also I think just being able to prioritize like what's the most important stuff when it comes to basketball, and I feel like it also just makes you a more sacrificial individual in terms of now on the court, giving up for your team seems a lot easier when you're used to doing it at home.
Luke, if I can ask a basketball question here. You've been in Boston for a little while now. What do you think is different, not just on the court, but off the court as well, about this year's team compared to last year's team?
I mean, I feel like this, our team just, especially this year, I feel like we used to do such a great job of kind of just like identifying what the problem or what the solution needs to be in the game and just moving to that as quickly as possible. And I feel like everyone's at a point in their lives and careers where we've been faced with a lot of different challenges, and I think like been able to grow through those. And I think now when you face that adversity, you see it a lot clearer, and you just get right to the point and try to figure out what the way to attack is. And I think also just from a humility standpoint, like we've had success and we've had failure, and so you are willing to know that the result can kind of be whatever it may be, but our process and how we go about it is going to be hopefully the best that we possibly can, and you'll leave the result to itself.
What's it like trying to guard Kristaps in practice?
Yeah, fortunately I don't have to deal with that too much, but he's, and offensively he's incredible. I feel like obviously his like shot making ability to score in isolation on just about anybody is very unique, but honestly I feel like another part of his game is just offensively is great in terms of like just knowing the right play and making the easy read, and he's a great passer out of those situations. And so you just feel like when the ball's in his hands, like something good is going to happen, and if it's whether it's for him or the teammate, and I mean it's just like a very incredible weapon to have on the opposite side. And then also what he brings defensively is good. In terms of guarding him, there's not really a great solution, and so I feel like when you play a player who has that individual ability, but then also like can make the play after, like it just makes it impossible to guard when he's willing to get involved in actions, and you think he did a good job guarding him in ISO, and then he's getting a roll dunk or someone else is getting a wide open shot.
Last question for me. Advice for a new parent. I'm not there yet, but for any new parents that are going to be down the road,
Yeah.
what is something that they need to know?
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's just like showing up and doing the work every single day. I don't feel like there's really one way to go about it, and I think it's going to look different for every family. But I think it's just really like the teaching you of like daily having to show up and fight through it. And also I think probably whether you have other friends who are parents or not, like it's very, very difficult and very, very challenging, and it'll humble you, and to know that like that's all right, and it's just we're just here to show up the next day for our kids, and just try to do that, yeah, as long as you can, and then trust that in the end like it'll all be worth it. But yeah, there's not, I mean, it's hard. Yeah, it's, but like, yeah, it's like the best. I think another thing is like it's the best thing that you'll be doing in your life, to be able to like give up your life for your children and to pass that on. So, yeah, just stay the course, and to know it's all right that it's really hard. I think a lot of times things can seem a lot easier than they are shown to be, but it'll bring you to your knees, and it's brought me to my knees on a lot of nights where you don't know how you're going to get up the next day and do it, and yeah, you just figure it out, and you get up the next day and you do it. Yeah.
Luke, I wanted to ask you about the coaching staff quick. It feels like fans know Joe, they know Charles, they know Sam. You guys work closely with specific coaches, like so you're working out with Emil Jefferson,
Yeah.
Coach Buckner, and DJ McClay. What's your relationship like with those guys, and what don't fans really appreciate about what those guys bring to the table for everybody?
Yeah, I mean that's. I think one thing that's just impressive is like they just do so much work, and they're here around the clock, like from when the first guys are working out to when the last guys wanting to work out, and then working on either side of that. And I think, and for one, just the individual personalities that they all bring and to kind of contribute to our organization is awesome. But then the amount of work that they're really putting in, it's like, yeah, it's funny how it's kind of in all aspects where it's like there's so much work kind of done in the base layers that help fuel the final decision making, and yeah, none of the final stuff gets done if it isn't for all the little hours. And you end up having some of the most fun like you have. Yeah, no, that's whether it's your pregame workout or just like watching them play and stuff like that. It gets competitive, and I mean, I've played against Emil a lot, and played against DMAC and a lot of those guys. So I think I beat Emil in the G League. DMAC actually lost to at Vanderbilt at Bucknell, but yeah, I think like also the respect that you have from them a lot of times, like having played against them, and to know like their own competitive energy, and for them to be able to give of themselves to help our team be better is something that doesn't go unnoticed.
What's your reaction to seeing other bigs do the Kornet contest?
It's funny to see. It's I don't know if pioneer of the game is something that I ever think was going to be, but it's cool to see. And honestly, I'm amazed that I was the first one. I don't know if I'm the first one to do it, but the first one to gain traction, I guess, of doing it. But it's just like a fun part of whatever it takes to win. And when I see other guys doing it, I always like appreciate it. And it's like, yeah, just kind of the attitude of like whatever it takes and do it every lunch. And there's certain guys who have definitely adopted it a little bit
Yeah,
more.
did you see
And
Wemby did it?
yeah, no, 10 years it'll be called the Wimby, and that's all right. That's how it's going to work. It's a lot of times the innovators are the ones who don't get credit, and I'm fine with that. I should talk to him about it. I think he said that he kind of, it was parallel thinking type of thing, which is by all means. So, yeah, when it's known in France and it has some French term that's much more eloquent, that has a lot more, it's fine by me. Yeah.